Hey guys, we're going to be reacting to Megyn Kelly on Tucker Carlson regarding the Venezuelan issue, why America attacked Venezuela. So we're going to be going through a lot of different topics on this. What was the primary reason that USA actually attacked Venezuela? Was it because of the was oil the primary reason, or was there some other reason? Was it like a just cause, which was getting rid of the president because he was oppressing the civilians? He was one of the biggest drug lords. Was that the main reason? When we know that Trump has actually been very open about getting the oil. And they're gonna appreciate some of the aspects of it as well because Trump is actually very open about getting the oil when the governments in the past have not been open about this. So anytime they attacked a country, it would be because of some other reason. Like Iraq, it was weapons of mass destruction, even though they couldn't find any. Afghanistan, it was because Taliban's had were oppressing their civilians, so it was to free the civilians. Libya, the same, to liberate the civilians from the government, and they've been lying about all of this. So Trump had rather been more open about this, but does that make it a just cause? That doesn't, because you're still crossing the boundaries of the other country without the permission of the UN. And what stops China and Russia to attack Taiwan and Ukraine? Respectively, because what cause are you giving them? If America first means that you're going to do anything for the benefit of USA without actually looking at what you're doing to the other people, that gives Russia and China the right to attack those countries. Then it doesn't give you any sort of ethical or any sort of law, no ethical justification, not even any justification under the law, because you're not following the UN law yourself. So we're going to be reacting to Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly when they're discussing it. And they've got some very good points on this, by the way.
And so I want to bring her in now to get her sense of what exactly Venezuela means. Megyn, thanks so much for doing this. I have a million questions for you, but first, you said right after Maduro got grabbed that you weren't exactly sure. You were skeptical. What are your views of it now?
Yeah, still skeptical. I said I'm not on a green light posture on this. I'm not on a red light. I'm on a yellow. And I don't love it. I got to be honest. I first of all would prefer we use our military defensively and not offensively, which may be anachronistic. But I'm not really in the mindset at all, especially now with three kids who are 2 out of 3 in their teens, of being super bellicose in our language or our approach to the world. And
I can see Megyn has been in a very difficult situation here because she's on the conservative side. She's been doing that for like a long, long time. So she's got a fan base who's actually supporting the attack, but that's why she's saying that I'm not giving it an amber light or green light or a red light. But now she's living in a country where she has grown up kids, and yeah, she wouldn't want America to be policing everything.
I don't really see this as necessary. I don't see this one as necessary. I understand what Trump is saying is the reason, and I too appreciate the honesty. I actually appreciate that we're not cloaking it in democracy. Like, we wanted the oil. He was really explicit. And we didn't want them playing footsie with China and Iran.
She actually is respecting the part. She's respecting the honesty of Donald Trump. It's just like, yeah, we do want oil. Yeah, you would see many, many times when Trump is with like some of the other politicians, like Lindsey Lohan is trying to explain something else, but Trump is like, no, but we want oil. Like, he's pretty open about this when the governments in the past have not been doing this.
And Cuba. Okay, so at least he's being honest about it. But I worry very much about unintended consequences. And, I realize it's not Libya, it's Venezuela, but okay, a couple things happened in Libya. First of all, when we killed their leader, it's been chaos ever since. And I see the same sort of power vacuum there, potentially, even with this vice president left in place. That happened in Libya. I don't think we actually are going to run Venezuela, because we don't want to, and we don't want to have a long-term.
Yeah, they didn't do anything for Libya, by the way. They got rid of Gaddafi, but what happened afterwards? I mean, Libya has been the same kind of country since then. There's still like a big power vacuum. They couldn't actually change the country, so it didn't give you a lot of. You didn't get a lot out of it.
Presence there. So I do wonder what the power vacuum will be. I'm not so sure this vice president is going to be able to rule there with the same iron fist as Maduro. I don't know what's going to happen. But I also think about what happened in Libya, Tucker, when we were even younger. And that's when you and I were in college. And for the years prior to that, Libya was doing some bad things in the world. They bombed the nightclub in Berlin, and some Americans got killed. And Reagan then bombed them. And we were sort of ratcheting up. It wasn't an outright war with Libya, but we were escalating tensions here and there with them. And the next thing we knew, we just sort of thought we had settled the matter because we are the big bad United States. And once we sort of bomb you, you're supposed to go away and realize it's going to get worse for you. But what Libya actually did was they planted a bomb on Pan Am 103 and brought down that flight over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing 259 people, most of whom were American, including 35 students from Syracuse University, where I was going to school as a freshman. And every year I was there, for 4 years, we had the memorial honoring those 35 18 and 19-year-olds who had been studying abroad in London and had been killed over Scotland on their way home from their study abroad program because of these little sort of power battles that had happened that weren't supposed to mean anything. We're supposed to be just sort of asserting our power and teaching somebody a lesson. Did anybody anticipate that?
So basically, Megyn Kelly, that's a very good example. She's actually painting a story. She's basically saying that even though you're picking the fights to those countries, and even though those countries doesn't seem to have like strong military power where they can directly threaten you, but there would be some things that they would do that would actually harm you. There will be life lost in that case. Like in that case, Libya was the one who actually initiated the attack. According to her, they bombed like a nightclub, but then there were like power battles going on. Like USA, Ronald Reagan, he bombed Libya. So what's happening now is that Libya is like trying to get it back. So what they do in Scotland, there was a plane that got attacked. There were 289 people on the plane, but 35 of them were like American college students who were actually on their way back home, and they got killed. So what happened? You lost like 35 lives, 35 talented, intelligent, smart college people who were on their way to become whatever, who knows, doctors, engineers, whatever. And why did that happen? Because USA bombed Libya. Like it could have been done through like peaceful. There must have been some peaceful ways that it could have been done. What was the point of like going there, invading the country? And that's what happens. Like they might not have the military capacity to hurt you badly, but you're gonna have some sort of life lost, which doesn't help you in any way. So that's a good example of it, actually.
I don't think so. Okay, Venezuela is not Libya. It's not full of a bunch of Middle Eastern potential terrorists, but it's not great. Like they've got a bunch of gangs down there who have zero problem killing Americans. Let's check in with Tren de Aragua. Let's check in with Laken Riley's family to find out whether they have any empathy for Americans. Doesn't seem so. And I don't know what faction of that group we're ticking off right now with our behavior and going in there and saying the oil's now ours. We're going to sell it. We'll give you a piece of it, but we're taking it. So I really do worry about unintended consequences, and I object to empire. I much.
That's a good example, actually. Like Venezuela is full of gangs as well. There's a lot of gangs in Venezuela. They're not just going to give you the oil. She's like, what bunch of people will actually give you the oil, just like saying that, oh, this is your oil, just take it. There's going to be some sort of fights. Obviously, they're going to be conspiring. They're going to be planning some sort of attacks, and they might not be against your military directly, but there might be small attacks somewhere, and then you will have lives lost. So what's the point of doing all of this?
Prefer the way we started with the original George Washington. Let's avoid foreign entanglements. Let's not cozy up too much to any one country. Let's enjoy the beautiful blessing of these two huge oceans on either side.
Yeah, she's saying she's not like a big fan of empires, building the empires. We know that in the past, humans have been building empires. Like you talk about the Roman Empire, you talk about the British Empire. America is kind of an empire. So at the moment, it looks like Trump is starting to build like a big empire. He wants to take over the countries like Colombia and Cuba and Venezuela, all of those countries, and Greenland later. So it does look like he wants to make it like a big empire. But we should be doing this. I mean, she's talking about like the American first policies of like George Washington. Just focus on yourself, do what's best for your country. And it seems like when Trump actually ran for the campaign, that was like the American first policy. Like this is what American first actually means. So they're still saying it's America first, but America first means a different thing. Like you can benefit yourself even if you're involved in the wars. But if you get something out of it, if your economy is going up, or if you're getting oil out of it, if you're getting gold out of it, if it's like a security threat to your country, just like in case of Greenland, that's what they're saying. Like there is a security threat. China, Russia, they're very close. So we need to have a military base close to that. And even with Venezuela, like America and China and Russia, they're trying to buy a lot of oils from Venezuela. China is importing a lot of materials from Venezuela. So that's why they don't want China to be doing a lot of business with Venezuela. They want to take over Venezuela. That's one of the reasons.
I don't want to have to take care of Venezuela. I really don't. I'm not particularly worried about them cozying up too much to China and Russia, neither of whom are in a position right now to attack us, and I don't think they have a reason to attack us at the moment. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. China and Russia both are not in a position to actually attack us directly. I don't think they would want that as a threat. Who would want to start a war directly with the United States of America? We got the biggest military, right? Even though China is a strong country, Russia is a strong country, but they care about their own economies. Russia's economy is already destroyed after attacking Ukraine. They're spending a lot of money over there. China is not even a country who wants to start war with other countries. They have a completely different approach. It's a business approach. We're going to build companies. We're going to do business with the other countries. That's how they want to take over Africa, and that's how they want to take over South America. And I'm completely fine with it because people are getting something out of it. They're building colonies inside those countries. So there's no direct threat. So why do you have to worry about China and Russia like doing business with Venezuela? That doesn't matter. Even in the long run, like you could do exactly the same thing. Why does it have to be like a military approach every single time? Why do we have to be the gangsters of the world? Why do we have to be the ones policing the whole world? Why can't we follow exactly the same policies? Like you think that China is doing better than you? Why don't you start doing business? Why don't you making more things, or why don't you start selling more things? Right? You could make deals with other countries.
Don't like it. I still support Trump, obviously, but I don't think this is something he ran on at all. I think he actually ran on the opposite promise that we weren't going to be doing this stuff. I don't think anybody who voted for him was thinking about this when we voted for him. Everyone's rooting for him, everyone who's sane and independent minded. But this is a massive distraction from where his attentions should be, in my view, which, as you point out, are rightly Baltimore and other cities that are genuinely suffering. And I think if we roll into these midterms, he gave a big speech before the Republicans in Congress yesterday about we need to win the midterms. If we roll into these midterms and we have a year almost of Trump focusing on running Venezuela as the so-called affordability message is ubiquitous in the left-string press every day, it's not going to help. He's going to lose control of the House. I don't think the Republicans will.
She believes in the midterms, Trump would actually lose if he runs on Venezuela. Because Trump could literally say that I'm going to improve the economy by getting control of the Venezuela. So if we have control of the Venezuela, we'll be getting a lot of resources from Venezuela, and we'll be paying less for the oil. Actually, he might just say that we wouldn't have to pay at all for the oil. And that might actually win him the election. But Megyn Kelly disagrees with it. She thinks Trump should be focusing more on the states inside. And that would be a better way. I totally agree with this.
Lose the Senate, but we're going to have nonstop 2 years of investigations. And look, Trump hasn't been doing a great job of getting his agenda pushed through as legislation the first year, because as it turns out, you really do need 60 senators now in order to enact legislation, unless you get rid of the filibuster. So think how we'll do when Republicans don't even control the House. We will have absolutely no laws passed, which Tucker will only feed into what you're talking about, which is this idea of empire and the executive branch growing bigger and bigger. He's already rendered Congress almost irrelevant. They'll become even more so with the Democrats in control of the House, because all they're going to be doing is snipping at his heels, trying to investigate everything he does. But they won't even be relevant in terms of potentially passing legislation, because it'll be an absolute no-brainer. Nothing will happen.
Exactly. That's a good point, actually. Like, Trump, after becoming the president, has not been able to pass a single legislation in the House, right? So he doesn't even have control of the House. Anything that he's doing is without any sort of permission. So, I mean, right now this is happening, but what's going to happen? Like, when Democrats get in power next, in like a few years, that's what they're going to be doing. Like, they're going to be impeaching him. They're going to be coming after him. There's literally not much that Trump would actually do. They will be coming all over his ass for the crimes that he has done. And they wouldn't have to pass any of the legislations, because then it wouldn't mean anything. You already devalued every single thing that happens in the House.
The executive branch will grow. And okay, maybe I can get, comfortable with empire if I must, if we're thinking about a J.D. Vance, but we are not going to have a Republican in the White House forever. Never mind the right Republican in the White House forever. We are going to wind up with a Gavin Newsom one of these days, or an AOC. And then what? And by the way, even if we move on from Trump or a JD type, president, and stick with like Republican, who's going to run the empire? Like, what if we wind up with a Mitt Romney? What do we do with Venezuela then? What if the collapse happens then, because we no longer have a strong hand on the tiller the way we might with Trump here? What chaos will ensue? I don't think we have an accurate feel for what we've unleashed, And I think it was unnecessary.
I think you make a strong case.
That's a good point. It was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. There was no reason to do it. There was no direct threat from Venezuela or China or Russia. None of the countries are looking for it.
I've thought all of that. I don't think I articulated it quite as well as you just did. And of course, I'm totally opposed to empire too. I'm kind of for an agrarian society with no electricity. Small communities. I'm serious. I mean it. But we're not in charge. And so this is a new system. Clearly, we're moving toward it. At some point, this president or some president is going to start ignoring the courts too. And you're going to have just total power in the executive. And there's a lot of evidence that the emerging America demographically wants that. I mean, that's the case in most countries, and it will be the case here probably. I'm not endorsing that at all. I'm just sort of looking ahead generally.
That's true. Do you want like the total executive power? Because there will be no power in the House left. If that becomes a case, then you wouldn't need any sort of legislation, which is very bad for the country. And Trump is already heading that way, but the president after Trump, they would have no reason to follow it.
Generationally, and we're gonna get something like that. So given that, I feel like you need to make smart decisions, wise decisions with the future in mind, always, especially now. And there are all these ghouls.
Work is a pain in the apps. My files are in this app.
Come
My
on.
chat's in this app. Projects in that app.
Who've somehow attached themselves like barnacles to the executive branch, like Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, screeching about how, okay, that was a great success 4 days ago. Now we need to roll into Tehran. Do you think that will happen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like you watch Lindsey Graham, it's like he's got the taste of blood in his mouth and he's excited. I mean,
she put it exactly right. You look at the face of Lindsey Graham, and it looks like this guy's actually got a taste of blood in his mouth. Dude, this guy is crazy.
Practically frothing. It was disturbing. And, this is who, for right now, Trump is surrounding himself with. You had Lindsey Graham on Air Force One with him. You had Levin at the White House with his arm around Trump, almost trying to, manhandle him, sort of assert power over Trump, kind of pulling him in. And, Trump doesn't like that, even when you shake hands.
You know what? I noticed that thing as well. Like Mark Levin, every time he's with Trump, and you could see that when they were in the Israeli first rally or something like this. He's got the body language of Mark Levin. It's like he's controlling Trump. He's got his arms around Trump's body, and Trump is mostly the one doing this. Like you look at the way Trump actually shakes hands of other people. He shakes it like a man. It looks like he's showing some sort of authority. Like I've got the power of you. When he does it with Mark Levin, it's kind of like the opposite. It's like Mark Levin has got him like a little brother. Mark Levin is kind of big brothering Donald Trump. That looks like it, which shows you that Mark Levin might actually have more power than Donald Trump. So it could be like, Mark Levin is a big Zionist, so you don't know where Trump is getting all the money from.
Hands with Trump. He makes sure he's in command and he's in the dominant position. But Mark Levin goes in there and almost tries to emasculate him, like with the arm around, like this is my guy, which is exactly the wrong messaging to allow and to send in Levin's case. So it is disturbing, like how close, not just the neocon, I think there are some normal neocons, like I would consider probably, Britt Hume is probably neocon-y. Some of my pals over at National Review are but they're not frothing at the mouth crazy for blood neocons.
Exactly. That's right.
I mean, what Lindsey Graham stands for is deeply disturbing to me. And that stuff about the Ayatollah, our president's going to come kill you. Would you just stop? Like you said, just, hey, as far as I know, Lindsey Graham doesn't have teenage children who are going to have to go fight his war he now wants against Iran. But I do. And you have kids in their 20s, and some of us actually have a real stake in making sure that does not happen. We do not want that. Again.
What do you think about U.S. actually starting a war with Iran? I mean, a lot of the Iranians actually want that because they're being oppressed by the government. But again, I don't think it's our job. I don't think it's our job to policing policing every single thing in the whole world. To be honest, we don't have any high moral ground to be going everywhere and be like, it's our responsibility. Like we know every single thing and we are the ones who knows how to finish the oppression. So I don't think we should be doing this. First of all, there's going to be like a big, it's going to be a big blast to the Americans' economy. That's going to go down, the amount of weapons that you're going to have to use. Plus, with Iran, it's not going to be easy because Iran actually does have a military power. So even though you are stronger than Iran in terms of like the weapons and stuff, but you would have military, you would have casualties. And then if you're bombing Iran, you're not just going to be hitting, targeting the military. They're going to be hiding with the civilians. So there's going to be like casualties in the civilians too, just like you're seeing with the Palestine and Israel. That's terrible. But Iran, it might be the case. And I know a lot of people like you see a lot of liberals actually on, they see a lot of injustice and oppression going on in Iran, and they should think that America should actually be interfering in it because America is interfering everywhere else. Like they've seen what America did in Afghanistan, what America did in Libya, and what America did in Venezuela. Now they actually want that to happen in Iran, and I do understand it from some people's point of view because, to be honest, Iranian people have actually faced a lot of oppression, and there's Iranian people actually living in the Western countries in USA, and they want America to actually go over there, and they want America to take over the country because they want to get rid of the government that they have. But I think there are better ways to do it. I think it will happen eventually. I think if you give it enough time, you get some sort of rebellion, you get revolution from the civilians that actually make it happen. I think this is a better way instead of somebody interfering from outside, because if somebody does it one time, that gives them the excuse to do it again. And then what makes you think that they would give you a better country, that they will put somebody else of your from your side in power? Because they might put somebody else from the same side in power again, like you had with let's say with Venezuela, right? The guy that they want to put in power again, it's going to be like a 2.0 version of the same leader. It's not like they giving Venezuelan people the same a leader that would actually really take care of them. They'll probably give them the 2.0 version of the same side. So you don't really know if America will actually bring peace in Iran if they go over there. Plus, you're not actually factoring in the amount of casualties from both sides. There's going to be US casualties. There's going to be Iranian casualties of the civilians. So it's not good for both of the countries. Plus the economy. I know the economy of Iran is really bad, but it's going to go down even worse. It will be bad, really, after the war, especially. How much money are you spending on the weapons? War is never a good solution. I think there could be like a revolution from the civilians. There could be a big rebellion from the civilians that could actually change the government. So the things will get better slowly. But I don't think there should be any interference from countries outside, especially not from USA.
Unnecessary. So it's really kind of getting crazy. And I also think you're right about the alarming increase in military budget. What is the reason for that? Trump's speaking in a disturbing way about Greenland. My hope is that all the talk about Greenland, because even yesterday, Caroline Leavitt was saying military.
So you're telling me I can straighten my
are still on the table if that's what the president wants, so explicitly about Greenland. That he's
Like, why do they have to say this? Like, the military option is on the table for Greenland. You don't have to mention the military option. You could just say, "Oh, we want to get." First of all, I don't think we should be saying that we want Greenland. And if you are saying that we want Greenland, it could be like, "Oh, we're going to be negotiating, and that's how we're going to get Greenland." Why do you even have to mention military option?
just asking for a 10 where he intends to settle for a 6, which is, I'm going to scare you so that you actually will cut a better deal with me on your raw earth minerals and give me more access to your country if I need it for those and or military purposes. But obviously, we can't go around invading Greenland. We can't go around invading any countries. We can't go invade Cuba. He mentioned them. We can't go invade Iran. We cannot go invade Colombia or just kick the guy's ass, as Trump is saying, and not expect any negative consequences to us. Like, we are rebuilding the economy. Trump is rolling back regulations. He's allowing modern business to thrive. The tariffs, I think, have not worked out too poorly, and I think have a very good shot of working out even better. Interest rates are coming down. Inflation is coming down. Why can't we just roll that agenda into a stronger economy than ever come midterms and maybe possibly win more seats in the House such that Trump, and maybe, God even knows, convince some senators to vote Republican when a vote comes up, and actually enact an agenda that could stick and that could be popular, and stop worrying about being policemen of the world, worrying about the bad guys. Of course they're bad guys. We know there are bad guys in Cuba. We know the guy who runs Colombia is not great. We know Maduro wasn't great. Iran, obviously, we're not big fans of the Ayatollah, and vice versa. We're not the policemen of the world.
That's a good point from Megyn Kelly. She's like, we're not the policemen of the world. We know those guys are not good guys. The country, the guys that are running the country, like Maduro wasn't the best guy. The leader of Colombia is not the best guy. Khomeini, who's running Iran, is not the best guy. That's why people are chanting death to Khomeini. But we're not the policemen of the world. It's not our responsibility to be indulging ourselves in every single battle. And we talked about America first. How does that even help America? And how does that help the other countries? In the long run, it doesn't. It doesn't do that. And she's saying, like, focus on the main issues in the country, like focus on your economy, focus on the interest rates, focus on those things, and maybe run on those things. And if you can improve those 4 to 5 things in your country, then you might actually win the election, right? And she's mentioning some of the good things that Trump has actually done. She's like, okay, we're seeing some of the improvements in some of the things. Then why do we have to interfere us in every aspect outside? Like, this doesn't have to happen. It's unnecessary.
It was never intended to be this way. And look, if that's what we're going to use the 1.5 trillion for, that's alarming too. Even if it's not world war, if it's just so we can be the world cop or the world invader or like sort of the badass with swagger with the amazing military, and now we want to use it, that's going to cause a host of unintended consequences that Trump's never going to be around to even see through. You know, you and I are still going to be here. Our kids are still going to be here. Trump's grandkids are going to be here. But it almost feels at times to me like Trump has discovered he's got this exciting, efficient tool called the U.S. military, and he's dying to try it out. And unfortunately,
Yeah, Trump is playing like a video game. Okay, I just got a new video game. I got a tool, and this is the military I've got. I've just got to use this military. I want to see how it works, right? What are the capabilities? To what extent this military can actually go to? It's like he's trying to press all the buttons and see, like, oh, this button works that way. What am I capable of doing? So, I mean, she's saying like Trump has only got a few years left, so he's not going to be able to see all of those things. But guess who's going to be here? I'm going to be here. You're going to be here. Our kids are going to be here, and they're going to see those things. So there's going to be negative consequences. Obviously, you're spending 1.5 trillion budget on the military. That's a waste of money. And then you're indulging yourself in those battles. You're trying to be the policeman of the world, and as those countries, you don't think they're going to come at you. So there's going to be some negative consequences.
fortunately, when you're dying to try out the U.S. military as the commander-in-chief, you ultimately are not the one who will be dying, but others will, and they include Americans eventually.
Yeah, and it's always possible for any
Yeah, guys, that was my reaction to this video. I think Megyn Kelly was spot on. She was spot on. She put it very well over there. Let me know what you guys actually think about this. I don't think USA should be indulging in any matters. I know there are people who are actually asking for Trump to actually attack the other countries as well, because I think the people are being oppressed by the leaders. But I think it's not the America's first policy. It doesn't benefit America in any way. It doesn't benefit those countries in any way, because you're going to have very sort of like, it's a very sort of like very quick happiness. It's not a long-term happiness, because then they will put somebody else in power who's controlling you guys in the same way, and you don't realize that the country actually goes back 10 of years after the war, because there's a lot of expenditure on the weapons, there's a lot of casualties. So war is never the best solution.